Deep in the bioluminescent caves of Nexrath Prime, Khazar pressed their forehead against the crystalline floor, 4 hearts beating in perfect synchronization. Around them, the sacred hunting grounds pulsed with deep blues and violets, each crystal's glow reflecting off the metallic scales of the assembled Nexrathi elders. The air hung thick with the sweet smoke of burning memory moss, its psychoactive properties sharpening Khazar's senses until every shadow seemed to dance with potential prey. "Rise, young hunter," Elder Esvak commanded, their voice resonating through the chamber like distant thunder. Khazar obeyed, unfurling their 3-meter frame to stand before the circle of proven. The elders' ceremonial armor gleamed, each piece adorned with trophies from their most challenging hunts, crystallized neural tissue from methane-breathing leviathans, fossilized claws from extinct megapredators, and fragments of technology from sentient prey who had fought back with machines and weapons. The initiation ritual had begun at moonrise, when Khazar shed their juvenile scales in the acid pools beneath the city. Now, as both moons reached their apex, it was time for the final marking. Sivak approached, wielding the Genesis Claw, a ritual blade fashioned from the talon of their species' first great hunter. The Elder's own scars caught Khazar's attention, particularly a set of straight, precise marks along their neck that seemed different from the typical battle wounds that decorated most hunters. "You have survived the trials of sight," Esvak began, their secondary arms extending in ritual gesture. "You have proven your ability to stalk the shadow beetles through the dark. You have demonstrated your strength by wrestling the magma serpents in their own domain." The Elder's primary hand raised the Genesis Claw. "Now you will receive the mark of the hunter, and with it, the right to pursue worthy prey among the stars." Khazar remained perfectly still as the ancient blade descended. Pain lanced through their crest as Sivak carved the traditional patterns, geometric shapes that would fill with phosphorescent bacteria, marking Khazar forever as a hunter of the Nexrathi. But even through the searing agitation, Khazar couldn't tear their gaze from those unusual scars on the Elder's neck. "Your curiosity betrays you, young one," Esvak noted, pausing in their work. "You wonder about these marks." "Forgive my distraction, Elder," Khazar's secondary voice box hummed in embarrassment, while their primary one maintained the ritual tones. "I have studied the wound patterns of all known prey species, but these are different." A ripple of unease passed through the assembled elders. Their bioluminescent patches flickered in patterns Khazar had never seen before. Was that fear? Impossible. The Nexrathi feared nothing. They were the apex predators of the galaxy, the hunters that made other hunters tremble. Sivak resumed their work, but their movements had lost some of their ceremonial precision. "There are some prey that we do not speak of, young Khazar. Some quarry that is forbidden, not because they are too easy, but because they are." The Elder paused, searching for the right word. "Different." But surely no prey could be too challenging for a properly prepared hunter. Khazar regretted the words instantly. Questioning an elder during their own initiation was unprecedented. Yet the question had burned within them since they first noticed those strange scars. The Genesis Claw completed its final mark, and Sivak stepped back. "You speak with the confidence of youth, Khazar. Remember that a true hunter's greatest weapon is not their claws or their strength, but their wisdom in choosing which prey to pursue." The Elder's 4 eyes narrowed, and which to avoid. The ceremony concluded with the traditional hunting cry, but Khazar barely heard it. Their mind raced with possibilities. What creature could leave such precise wounds? What prey could make the mighty Nexrathi elders speak with such careful words? As they joined the procession out of the sacred caves, Khazar made a silent vow to learn the truth, no matter the cost. They didn't notice Esvak watching them leave, didn't see the Elder subconsciously touch those straight-edged scars, didn't hear the whispered words. They all have that same look when they first start one. The Great Archive sprawled through the upper levels of the Nexrathi capital spire, its crystalline data cores stretching up into darkness. Khazar's claws clicked against the transparent flooring as they made their way through the labyrinth of stored knowledge. 3 days had passed since their initiation, and they had spent every moment here searching. The Archiv's central chamber activated at their approach, holographic interfaces shimmering to life. Khazar's neural implant connected automatically, allowing them to sift through centuries of hunting records with mere thoughts. Their search had started broadly. Unusual prey, unexplained disappearances, restricted hunting zones. But every promising lead had ended in frustration. Access denied. The system chimed for the 100th time. Clearance level insufficient. Khazar's jaw ridges clicked in annoyance. The encryption around these particular files was unlike anything they'd encountered. Most hunting records were public, celebrated. The Nexrathi took pride in sharing their victories. But these were different. Query. Display all successful hunts against species designation human within the last 50 cycles. Khazar commanded. The system hummed. 0 results found. Khazar's secondary hearts skipped a beat. 0. That was impossible. The Nexrathi hunted everything. From space-faring civilizations to primitive tool users, no species was beneath their attention, yet somehow this one had no recorded successful hunts. Display failed hunting attempts against species designation human. Access denied. Warning. Further queries regarding restricted species will be reported. Khazar was about to back out when they noticed something. A data pattern beneath the warning. The encryption itself was telling. It wasn't Nexrathi in origin. These protections had been added by someone else, someone who understood digital security better than the hunt-focused Nexrathi. A new thought occurred to them. Display. Hunter disappearances, last 100 cycles, sorted by region. The holographic display filled with data. Khazar's inner eyelids widened as they spotted the pattern. Dozens of experienced hunters had vanished in the same sectors. Sectors that, according to public maps, contained nothing of interest. But when overlaid with restricted zone markers, well hunted, young one. Khazar spun, dorsal spines flaring in surprise. Elder Asivak emerged from the shadows, their bioluminescent patches dimmed to near darkness. How long had they been watching? Elder, I was merely pursuing forbidden knowledge with the same determination you would pursue prey. Sivak moved to stand beside them, examining the display. Tell me what you've discovered. Khazar hesitated, then straightened. The humans are claimed to be prohibited prey, yet there are no successful hunts recorded. The disappearances of our greatest hunters cluster around their territories. The data itself is protected by their encryption, not ours. They turned all 4 eyes to the Elder. We're not protecting them from us. They're protecting us from them. Sivak's secondary arms twitched, a gesture of discomfort Khazar had never seen from an Elder before. You reveal too much understanding, too quickly. This is why the humans are prohibited. They make us question. They make us doubt. But what makes them so dangerous? Their physical specifications are unremarkable. No natural weapons, no exceptional speed or strength. Since your initiation, you have spent 3 days here, searching through data, following patterns, solving puzzles. Sivak's voice carried an odd tone. Tell me, young hunter, what proper Nexrathi behaves this way? When have our people ever shown such patience for anything but the hunt itself? Khazar started to respond, then stopped, understanding blooming like blood and water. Yes, Sivak nodded. Now you begin to see. The humans. They think like you are thinking now. Always. Every moment of their lives is spent solving, analyzing, improving. They turn everything into a puzzle to be defeated, including us. The Elder's hand unconsciously traced those straight-edged scars. I learned that lesson personally. Khazar stared at the disappearance data, imagination filling in the gaps. How many hunters have we lost to them? Too many. That is why they are prohibited. That is why. Sivak stopped as warnings flashed across the displays. They both stared at Khazar's personal data device, which was completing a massive encrypted download. "What have you done?" Sivak whispered. Khazar lifted their chin. "I've chosen my prey." The hunting lodge's central chamber erupted in chaos when Khazar announced their intended prey. The gathered hunters' bioluminescent patches flashed in agitation, their clicking jaw ridges creating a cacophony that echoed off the bone-carved walls. Silence. Elder Isvak's command cut through the noise. The ancient hunters stood from their throne of crystallized predator skulls, all four eyes fixed on Khazar. "You would break our most sacred prohibition, and announce it openly." Khazar stood their ground, throat scales bristling with defiance. "The first law of the hunt states that prey must be worthy. The second law demands that victory bring glory. What greater glory than succeeding where our greatest hunters have failed?" Failed. A new voice rasped from the shadows. The crowd parted as Hunter Varrock emerged, their cybernetic legs scraping against the floor. "Is that what the records told you, young one? That we failed?" Khazar had heard of Varrock. They were legendary for hunting quantum phase beings in the void realms, but something about their movement seemed wrong. The hunter's natural predatory grace was gone, replaced by a cautious, almost fearful way of scanning the room. "The records tell me nothing," Khazar responded. "They are sealed, hidden. We who pride ourselves on displaying our victories now cower behind encrypted data. Why? What glory is there in such silence?" "Glory?" Varrock laughed, a harsh sound like breaking kitten. "I hunted a human once, tracked it through 3 solar systems. I was so proud of my skill, my technology, my experience. When I finally caught up, they gestured to their cybernetic limb. This was their mercy." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Khazar's secondary hearts beat faster. "Mercy is for prey. We are Nexrethi. You understand nothing." Varrock surged forward, moving with surprising speed despite their injury. The human knew I was coming. Had known from the start. Everything. The trail, the chase, the final confrontation. It was all their design. They didn't just defeat me. They studied me, learned from me. And then, Varrock's voice dropped to a whisper. They let me live to warn others. Elder Isvak raised their ceremonial claw for attention. "Khazar, you are young, ambitious. These are not flaws. But there are boundaries even predators must respect. The humans are not prey. They are." The elder seemed to struggle with the concept. Something else. "With respect, Elder," Khazar's secondary voice box hummed with forced calm while their primary one carried their words. "If they are such skilled hunters, doesn't that make them even more worthy prey? What greater challenge could there be?" Challenge. A bitter clicking came from another corner. And Elder Khazar didn't recognize emerge, their scales dull with age. "You speak of glory and challenge, but you don't understand the risk. Not just to yourself, but to all Nexrethi. Every hunter who pursues humans and survives returns with stories that poison our very identity. They force us to question our place in the galaxy's hierarchy." Khazar's spinal ridge stiffened. "Then I will succeed where others failed. I will prove we are still the galaxy's apex predators." "No." Elder Isvak's tone carried the weight of absolute authority. "You are forbidden from this hunt. Guards, escort Khazar to their quarters until—" Actually, Khazar's secondary arms activated their neural transmitter. "I'm already gone." The hologram of Khazar flickered and vanished. On their private vessel, already breaking orbit, the real Khazar watched the hunting lodge erupt into confusion through their ship's feeds. They had spent 3 days not just researching humans, but planning their escape. The ship's eye chimed. Course plotted for the human colonial sectors. Warning, multiple pursuit vessels launching. Khazar's jaw ridges clicked in satisfaction. Let them chase. By the time they caught up, it would be too late. The encrypted files they downloaded were already decrypting, revealing human settlement patterns, behavioral analyses, And yes, there it was, a perfect target, a solitary human on a frontier world. "They call humans apex predators," Khazar muttered, engaging the quantum drive. "But they forget. Apex predators are exactly what we hunt best." Behind them, Nexrath Prime dwindled to a point of light, then vanished among the stars. Too late, Khazar's pursuit would realize an uncomfortable truth. In preparing so methodically, in analyzing data so carefully, in planning so meticulously, they were already thinking like a human. The rain on New Montana fell in sheets, transforming the forest floor into a maze of mud and shallow pools. Khazar watched through their camouflage blind as their chosen prey, a human female designated as Atmospheric Technician Sarah Chen, moved between the massive processors that kept the colony's air breathable. 3 days of observation had yielded nothing but confusion. The human's patterns seemed random, inefficient. Sometimes she would stand motionless for hours, staring at maintenance screens. Other times, she would wander seemingly aimlessly through the brush, stopping to examine plants or collect soil samples. Khazar's initial plan had been simple: learn the prey's routine, identify the optimal ambush point, strike without warning. But Sarah Chen had no routine. Each day was different, each path unique. The rain masked sounds and scattered scent trails, making traditional tracking nearly impossible. Maintenance log, day 847. The human's voice carried through Khazar's audio enhancers. Atmospheric processors functioning within normal parameters. Native bacterial growth in Sector 7 shows promising adaptation to. She stopped mid-sentence, head tilting slightly. Khazar froze. There was no way she could have spotted them. Their chameleonic scales matched the foliage perfectly, and their heat signature was masked by the finest Nexrathi hunting technology. Sarah walked to a nearby tree, seemingly focused on her datapad. Then, casually, she reached up and plucked something from a branch. Khazar's inner eyelids widened. It was one of the microsensors they had planted the previous night. "Interesting," she murmured, turning the device over in her hands. Definitely not standard colony tech. She pocketed the sensor and continued her rounds as if nothing had happened. Khazar's primary hearts raced. A lucky find, nothing more. They still had dozens of sensors placed throughout the area. The human couldn't possibly. Maintenance log, addendum. Sarah spoke as she worked. Environmental survey reveals unusual electronic signatures in sectors 3, 5, and 8, requesting routine sweep for non-native technology. Better safe than sorry. Khazar felt their scales ripple with unease. Within hours, colony security drones would find every sensor they had planted. But how? How had she known where to look? The answer hit them like a plasma burst. She hadn't. She'd been performing random sweeps all along, covering the entire area in an unpredictable pattern that would eventually reveal any hidden surveillance. Khazar abandoned their blind that night, relocating to a new position near the northern processor array. They needed to strike soon, before the human suspicions grew stronger. As they set up their new observation post, something caught their eye. A slight depression in the mud, already filling with rain. A footprint, their footprint, from when they had scouted this location 2 days ago. But that was impossible. The rain should have erased any tracks by now. Unless... Khazar's secondary hearts nearly stopped. The human hadn't found their surveillance by chance. She'd been tracking them from the beginning. Every random patrol, every aimless wandering. She had been mapping their movements, using their own surveillance attempts to pinpoint their location. The prey had been hunting the hunter. A soft chime from their neural implant warned of an incoming transmission. Khazar almost ignored it until they saw the source. It was coming from the atmospheric processor's main computer. The message contained only 4 words: "Welcome to New Montana." Khazar abandoned stealth protocols and ran, all 4 legs churning through the mud. Behind them, klaxons began to wail from the processor stations, security protocols activating. No. Atmosphere containment warnings. The processors were altering the air mix. Their respirator activated automatically as the atmosphere grew thinner, but Khazar knew they had only minutes to reach their ship. They had studied human hunt tactics, learned their strategies, but had missed the most important detail. Humans didn't fight like predators at all. They fought like engineers. Through their fading consciousness, Khazar finally understood Varrock's warning. This wasn't a hunt. It was a test, and they had failed before they even began. The last thing they saw before collapsing was Sarah Chin's silhouette against the processor station's lights, calmly speaking into her comm unit. "Control, we have another one. Send the containment team." Khazar awoke in darkness, their bioluminescent patches providing the only light. The air carried unfamiliar scents, metal, antiseptic, and something else they couldn't identify. Their neural implant was dead, leaving an uncomfortable silence in their mind where ship's data should be. Moving cautiously, they discovered they weren't restrained. The room was roughly 6 meters square, with a single door and what appeared to be an observation window. Their hunting gear was gone, but they hadn't been physically harmed. "Good morning." The voice came from hidden speakers. "Sarah Chen, I trust you slept well." Khazar's jaw ridges clicked in frustration. "If you're going to kill me, do it properly. This, waiting, is beneath both of us." "Kill you?" She sounded genuinely puzzled. "Why would we do that? You're far more valuable alive." The word sent a chill through Khazar's spine ridge. They remembered Varrock's cybernetic leg, the Elder's strange scars. "You want to study me?" "Actually, we already have. Your neural implant was quite informative." Nexrathi hunting techniques are fascinating, evolutionarily optimized for ambush predation. But that's not why you're here. The observation window illuminated, revealing Sarah on the other side. She wasn't alone. Khazar counted at least 6 other humans, all watching with an intensity that made their scales crawl. "You're here because you did something unusual," Sarah continued. "You studied us first, gathered intelligence, planned. Most Nexrathi just charge in, relying on physical superiority. But you adapted, evolved." Khazar moved closer to the window. "You speak as if this were some experiment." "Everything is an experiment. That's what your people never understand about us." Sarah gestured to a display showing Khazar's encrypted data download. "You stole our files thinking they would help you hunt us, but the encryption was designed to be broken. The files were bait. We've been selecting for smarter hunters." The implications hit Khazar like a gravitational shock. How long have you been doing this?" "Since our first contact with your species. Every failed hunt teaches us more about you. Every survivor returns with stories that slowly change your society's thinking. And occasionally, we find one like you. A Nexrathi, capable of adapting, of thinking beyond the pure hunt." The door to Khazar's cell hissed open. Sarah stepped through, seemingly unconcerned about being in a room with a predator twice her size. "The galaxy is changing," she said softly. "The old ways of predator and prey are becoming obsolete. We need partners who understand this, who can help us face what's coming." "What's coming?" Khazar's secondary voice box hummed with tension. Sarah's expression grew serious. "We've detected something at the galaxy's edge. Something that hunts entire civilizations. It doesn't care about honor or glory or the thrill of the chase. It simply consumes." She offered Khazar a data tablet. On it was an image that made all 4 of their hearts stutter. A massive void in space, ringed with the debris of what had once been a solar system. "Your people's hunting skills, combined with our strategic thinking." Sarah let the implications hang in the air. "Of course, if you prefer, we can simply return you to Nexrath Prime with another warning about hunting humans." Khazar stared at the image, understanding flowing through them like ice water. The humans hadn't just been defending themselves all these years. They'd been running the galaxy's longest, most patient hunt, not for prey, but for allies. "If I agree," Khazar said slowly, "I would be marked as a traitor among my people." Sarah smiled. Actually, you'd be the 5th Nexrathi to join us. Remember those restricted files you couldn't access? There's a reason for that. She extended her hand, a human gesture of agreement. So, what do you say? Ready to learn what it means to be something more than just a hunter? Khazar looked at the offered hand, then back at the image of the void. In that moment, they finally understood why humans were the most dangerous species in known space. Not because they were strongest, or fastest, or most lethal, but because they could turn even their predators into protectors. The holographic display filled the briefing room with images that challenged everything Khazar thought they knew about hunting. Video after video showed Nexrathi hunters, legends among their people, making the same mistakes Khazar had made. This was Tukul the Shadow Weaver. Sarah narrated as a massive Nexrathi stalked through an abandoned human mining facility. They spent 3 weeks setting up the perfect ambush. The video showed Tukul's perspective as they waited in perfect stillness above a corridor junction. They never realized the entire facility was a trap. The footage showed the floor suddenly becoming transparent, revealing a massive containment chamber below. Tukul fell, their legendary reflexes useless against simple physics. And here's Meret. Another video began playing. They tried to hunt a human agricultural specialist, thought it would be easy prey. The footage showed a Nexrathi hunter approaching a greenhouse, only to be instantly entangled in rapidly growing engineered vines. We didn't even need to intervene. The helpless botanist had engineered those plants specifically as a defense against your kind. Khazar's scales rippled with discomfort. Why show me these failures? Because you need to understand what you're really seeing. Sarah paused the playback. Look closer. What do all these hunters have in common? Khazar studied the frozen images. They're all decorated veterans, proven hunters with many victories. Exactly. The best your species had to offer. Now watch this. New footage played, showing humans in various settings. Scientists in laboratories, engineers at their workstations, soldiers in training exercises. Each clip showed humans working together, building upon each other's ideas, creating technologies that seemed to defy natural law. Your people hunt as individuals, Sarah explained. Each victory belongs to a single hunter. But humans, we hunt as a species. Every trap that caught a Nexrathi was built on centuries of accumulated knowledge. Every defense was designed by thousands of minds working together. She brought up a new display. A galaxy map with spreading tendrils of darkness. This is what we're really preparing for. We call them the Devourers. They operate like a virus, consuming entire civilizations and using their knowledge to infect others. Conventional weapons are useless. Conventional tactics fail. We need hunters who can think beyond the conventional. Khazar watched the simulation of the Devourers spread. How long do we have? At current speeds, 30 years, maybe less. That's why we started the selection protocol. Sarah's voice hardened. Every Nexrathi who tried to hunt humans was actually being evaluated. Those who relied purely on instinct and strength were sent home with warnings. But those who showed adaptability, who tried to understand their prey, were recruited. Khazar finished, understanding dawning. We weren't your prey at all. We were your candidates. The galaxy doesn't need more predators, Sarah agreed. It needs protectors who understand how predators think. Who better than a hunter who chooses to defend? The door opened, and 3 figures entered. Khazar's jaw ridges clicked in shock. They recognized them from hunting lodge historical records. All legendary hunters who had vanished on human hunts, all now wearing modified versions of their hunting gear integrated with human technology. Welcome to the Guardians, young one, the closest one said. It was Varrock, their cybernetic leg now clearly advanced human tech, ready to learn how humans really hunt. Khazar looked at their fellow Nexrathi, then back at the galaxy map showing the approaching doom. They thought of their people's pride, their traditions, their solitary glory. Then they thought of the videos they'd watched, of hundreds of individual hunters, each perfect in their own right, each falling before the collective intelligence of humanity. "Teach me," Khazar said finally. "Teach me everything." Sarah smiled. Lesson 1. Forget everything you know about being an apex predator. Humans didn't become the galaxy's most dangerous species by being the strongest. She brought up new images, humans teaching, learning, building together. We did it by being the best at making other species stronger. Khazar felt their world shift again, understanding that the human hunt had never been about victory or defeat. It had been about transformation. The simulation chamber hummed to life around Khazar, transforming the sterile training room into a perfect replica of a devourer-infested world. Beside them, Varrock's cybernetic enhancements gleamed in the dim light of a dying sun. "Remember," Sarah's voice came through their new neural interface, "this isn't about the kill. Show me you understand what we taught you." The scene before them was haunting. A once thriving city reduced to twisted biomechanical growths. In the distance, something that had once been a sentinel species moved in distinctly unnatural patterns, its body corrupted by devourer infection. "Watch and learn, young one," Varrock whispered, their cybernetic leg making no sound as they moved forward. "Humans taught me that sometimes the strongest hunt requires no violence at all." Khazar followed, forcing themselves to suppress their predatory instincts. 3 weeks of training had begun to reshape their understanding of hunting. Humans didn't just fight differently. They redefined what victory meant. The corrupted sentinel turned suddenly, its sensor arrays sweeping the area. Khazar's new implants fed them a stream of data, infection patterns, structural weaknesses, behavioral algorithms. But more importantly, they showed something their old hunting instincts would have missed. The creature was collecting data of its own. "It's not hunting us," Khazar realized aloud. "It's learning." "Exactly," Sarah confirmed through the neural link. "The devourers don't just consume, they adapt. Each encounter makes them stronger. Traditional hunters would try to kill it, making its death data part of the hive mind," Varrock added. "Just like how human defenses adapted to our hunting techniques with each failed Nexrathi attack." Khazar processed this, thinking like their human trainers had taught them. "Then we don't want to defeat it. We want to teach it the wrong lessons," Sarah finished. "Show me." Khazar activated their new tech suite, a seamless blend of Nexrathi hunting gear and human engineering. They projected false heat signatures, manipulated electromagnetic readings, created patterns that would seem meaningful to the Sentinel's corrupted programming. The creature turned, moving to investigate. Each false lead added another layer of incorrect data to its analysis. Varrock nodded approvingly as they watched the Sentinel's behavior becoming increasingly erratic as its algorithms tried to process the contradictory information. "The humans call it garbage data," Varrock explained. "Poison for machines that learn. We're not hunting its body. We're hunting its mind," Khazar finished, understanding flooding through them. This was why humans were so dangerous. They didn't just fight the enemy in front of them. They fought all future versions of that enemy simultaneously. The Sentinel's movements became more confused as its cognitive systems struggled with the cascade of misleading information. Finally, it retreated, transmitting corrupted data back to its hive mind. The simulation faded, revealing the training room. Sarah stood at the observation window, smiling. "You're learning. A month ago, you would have seen only prey. Now you see patterns, systems, consequences." Khazar's secondary voice box hummed with excitement. "Every action teaches something. Every encounter shapes future encounters. That's why we needed Nexrathi," Sarah explained. "You understand hunting better than any species we've encountered. You just needed to expand your definition of what can be hunted." Varrock's cybernetic components shifted as they turned to Khazar. Ideas can be prey. Behaviors can be stalked. Information itself can be ambushed and corrupted. These are the hunting grounds humans showed me. Khazar looked at their former idol, understanding now why Varrock had seemed so changed. You're not just hunting differently, you're thinking differently. The ultimate adaptation, Sarah agreed. And the real reason we're so feared. Other species adapt their bodies or their technology. Humans adapt minds. Our own, our allies, even our enemies. The training room's displays lit up with new simulation parameters. This time, they showed multiple corrupted sentinels, each learning from the other's experiences. Ready to try something harder? Sarah asked. Show me how a Nexrathi hunts concepts themselves. Khazar's 4 hearts beat in perfect rhythm as they activated their hybrid hunting system. They weren't just a hunter anymore. They were becoming something new, something that could protect the galaxy not through strength or stealth, but through understanding. The most dangerous prey, they had learned, was ignorance itself. The Hall of Elders fell silent as Khazar stepped onto the speaking platform. 3 months had passed since they'd left Nexrath Prime as a hunter. They returned as something else entirely. Elder Esvak watched from their crystalline throne, their expression unreadable. The assembled hunters stirred uneasily at Khazar's altered appearance, the seamless blend of Nexrathi biology and human technology that marked them as a guardian. You dare return, one of the younger elders challenged, after abandoning our ways for human. I return because our ways must change. Khazar interrupted, their voice carrying both determination and compassion. Another human lesson learned. The galaxy faces a threat that cannot be defeated by traditional hunting. The holographic projectors Khazar had installed activated, filling the hall with images of the Devourer's destruction. Gasps echoed through the chamber as the Nexrathi witnessed entire worlds being consumed, transformed into biomechanical hives. We have always been proud of being apex predators, Khazar continued. But what happens when the prey becomes part of the predator? When each defeat makes the enemy stronger? Our traditional hunts would only feed their evolution. So you surrender to human ways. Another elder demanded. Become their servant. No. Khazar's bioluminescent patches pulsed with conviction. I learned from them, as they learned from us. Did you never wonder why humans let failed hunters return? Why they shared their defensive capabilities? They were teaching us, preparing us, selecting those who could adapt. Tizvak rose slowly from their throne. You speak of the humans as teachers, not prey. This is heresy. I speak of them as equals, perhaps even as our salvation. Khazar activated their neural implants, projecting memories of their training. They understand hunting in ways we never imagined. They hunt ideas, behaviors, patterns. They transformed our attacks into a selection process for potential allies. The halls erupted in clicking jaw ridges and flaring scales, but Khazar noticed something crucial. The oldest elders, those bearing human-made scars, remained silent, watching, understanding. The humans didn't prohibit hunting them because they feared us, Khazar revealed. They prohibited it because each hunt was a test. Those who could learn, adapt, think beyond traditional predator instincts, they were offered a greater purpose. Varrock emerged from the shadows, their cybernetic enhancements gleaming. Other transformed hunters appeared, legends thought lost to failed hunts. The hall fell silent again as the Nexrathi recognized their returned heroes. We stand at a crossroads, Khazar announced. The Devourers approach. We can cling to our old ways and become part of their biomass, or we can evolve. Not just our bodies or our technology, but our very understanding of what it means to hunt. Tizvak descended from their throne, approaching Khazar. You were always different. Even during your initiation, you questioned, you sought patterns, you thought like them. Because humans are not our prey, Elder. They are our mirror, showing us what we could become. They took the galaxy's deadliest hunters and transformed us into its greatest protectors, not through force, but through understanding. Khazar turned to address the entire hall. I return not to change our nature, but to expand it. The humans offer an alliance. They need our hunting skills, our predatory instincts, our warrior spirit. but applied with their strategic thinking, their collaborative innovation, their ability to transform weakness into strength. The silence stretched until Shivak finally spoke. When you left, you sought to prove humans were worthy prey. What did you learn instead? Khazar's 4 eyes met the Elder's gaze. I learned that humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because they are the strongest hunters, but because they are the greatest teachers. They don't just defeat their enemies. They transform them into allies. Shivak's jaw ridges clicked in what might have been amusement. Then perhaps it is time we learned a new way to hunt. They turned to the assembled Nexrathi. The galaxy changes. We must change with it, or be consumed by it. As the Hall of Elders erupted in discussion, Khazar felt their neural implant warm with an incoming message from Sarah. Well done, Hunter. Welcome to the next evolution of predator and prey. The age of solitary hunters was ending. The age of united guardians had begun.